London's world-famous black cab made a grand appearance in the closing ceremony of the 2012 Olympics, but their days of taking passengers around the capital, well, they could be numbered. The company which builds them is in administration, and so the battle to replace a traditional cab is hotting up. Let's find out more about what's going on from Mark Ashdown, who's at a taxi rank in central London. Mark.
Thanks, Assad. Yes, if you were to tell me you live in London and you've never sat in the back of one of those, well, I would have to respectfully call you a fibber. We've all stuck our hands in the air at some point to hail a cab and get from A to B. That said, it's been a difficult few years in the trade, but things could be about to change. More players entering the market, better competition, better choice then for drivers and passengers.
Well, as you can see, this is a standard taxi cab now, so it's got 6 seats.
Peter da Costa knows his way round a taxi. A cabbie himself for 40 years, he's the driving force behind this new breed. Some feel he's helping kill off the traditional Hackney carriages, others that he's saving the trade. Having seen 8 models come and go over the years, he's convinced the shape of the metal being driven is largely irrelevant.
The one thing that hasn't changed is the driver, because he's the icon, and the orange light. Because the orange light represents the icon. What that means is when people get into the back of a London taxi cab, they know 99.99% that that driver is an honest person. He knows where he's going. The vehicle that he's driving is a safe vehicle.
But manganese bronze, which makes the world-famous cabs, remains in trouble. After years of making losses, in October it had to recall hundreds of cars over a steering fault and went into administration. A buyer has yet to materialise. It means the original design could die out, but any replacement has to conform with strict ancient guidelines. For example, a tight 25-foot turning circle, headroom to cater for a top hat, enough space for a bale of hay next to the driver. Perhaps all reasons why the big players have largely steered clear. Nissan think they have the answer. After launching in New York, they're nearly ready for a crack at London.
Design is really important, and we know that people look out for taxis and they want to understand they're getting a proper London taxi, because that's a real advantage. So this is a prototype we've got here, and we're going to look at maybe making some better improvements to this vehicle to give it a bit more of a distinctive look. And we're looking at ways of maybe within that process of involving Londoners in that selection process.
Which is probably sensible. London's legion of black cab drivers are certainly not shy in expressing their views. Well, let's get a few opinions now. I've got a couple of licensed taxi drivers with me, Grant Davis and Darryl Cox from the London Cab Drivers Club. Grant, firstly, manganese cab, they had a complete monopoly here. How did they get in such trouble, do you think?
Well, I just think even though they had the monopoly, at the end of the day, they never had the resources to keep making the cab a better vehicle. Hence, you got the competition coming into London.
You drove it, every day. Or was it a good cab to drive? Problems?
Yeah, I had one of the earlier vehicles, the TX1. Subsequently, they brought out a TX2 and a TX4. And the TX2 and TX4, to be honest, had loads of engineering problems, timing chains, radiators, fires. Yeah. So, it wasn't the best of vehicles, to be honest.
Let's just bring in Darryl. I mean, let's say it does, die out, so to speak. Is that a sad day or just sort of evolution?
Yeah, some people will be, sentimental, but unless you change, you're going to be dead. I mean, we're in the 21st century now, and with Nissan coming on board and Mercedes, you've got 2 world-class manufacturers.
Are people going to really sort of hail these, though? I see these drive past people. Do they realise they're proper cabs, as it were?
Yeah, I mean, Mercedes has been on the market now for 4 years, and they've got roughly 40% of the market share already. Yeah. And as you can see here on this rank here, about 50% of the cabs since we've been standing here are Mercedes. So they are growing and people will get used to them.
Grant, just briefly, I mean, competition must be a good thing for customers as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Mercedes, Nissan, 2 great companies coming in. They want to meet the conditions of fitness. And if they got the confidence in the London market, then, yeah, for London passengers, I think, and cab drivers, it's great times ahead.
OK, well, thanks very much for joining us, guys. So it's going to be a big year on the streets of London with more cabs coming. Surely good news for passengers.
OK, Mark Ashdown and the cabbies with you. Thanks very much.